Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's quick tip. I'm Chris, and I'm here with Mike. And today we'll be taking a little bit more in-depth look at our new tool, Swatch Matcher. So, practical scenario: you go to a customer who's switching from another RIP to Ergosoft, or there's an existing customer that is currently using Ergosoft with a named color library, and they need to replicate that named color library, or they need to replicate swatch book colors from another printing system in Ergosoft. Mike, give us a high-level overview of why this is such a unique tool, and then take us through the steps.
Yeah. So the reason this is so helpful is because when you have a library, especially a named color library, you're able to modify the colors manually over time. Who knows what's been added? Maybe even a dot gain curve is adjusted, right? So who knows what's really happening to the color. So what Swatch Matcher allows you to do is to take your swatch book and print it with all of those variables applied to the color, and then Ergosoft measures the output and uses that to create a new lab. So basically, it's taking all the changes that have happened and putting them into just how to create this new color for you.
Okay, so instead of going from the customer's reference library with LAB values and trying to replicate the process of going through the old system's ICC or whatever may be implied, we're able to more accurately characterize the behavior of that other system by going through this process.
Exactly.
Great. Okay.
And then sort of a cliff notes how to do that is the first step is you need to get your library exported as a swatch book. So if that's from your other RIP or your current RIP, Ergosoft export it as a swatch book. Once it's exported, you can then use swatch books right here. So then you can import your swatch book, which is right now we're going to use the one called Ergo 5. You import it here, and then you can go to Swatch Matcher, select it, and create a chart. Take that chart, print it on your other service, either your other printer or you're in Ergosoft, but you're different, maybe your different RIP, I'm sorry, or your different printer, whatever it is. Print that chart, and then go back into Swatch Matcher and measure it, and then it'll generate a new chart. So that's what we're going to do right now. So we have our Ergo 5 imported already, our swatch book. So we're going to go to Swatch Matcher. That's in Tools, Color and Special Features, Swatch Matcher. From here, you need to create a new chart. As you can see here, select the swatch book chart. You want to create a new one. So you click Add New, and then we're going to pick our actual swatch book that we're going to use to create it. You see there's a bunch of options here. So you can pick, I have an X-Rite i1 Pro 3 Plus right here. So you have your different geometry options here. You also have, if you click Show All, you'll have all of the options. So these are the spectros that we support. This list is also available on our website, but I will kind of scan through it briefly just so you can see what's available. Many different brands, many different models, all sorts of stuff. There we go, as you can see there. So whatever spectro you have, you select it, and then you click Create Swatch Chart File. I guess I need to reselect this. All right, let's do that. Let's do that one. So once you select your geometry and you select your swatch book, you click Create Swatch Book Chart Files. This is a small library, so it's only going to have one file, but if you have a larger library, you might have 3 files, you might have 5 files, whatever, right? So I'm going to put it right here in this demo data SM folder. I'm just going to hit select folder, and it's going to create a file there, right? And then from there, you can go to your folder, and you have your file that it created. So with this file, you take it, and then you print it. So you either print it on your other RIP, or you print it on your other printer, wherever you're trying to emulate, right? Wherever you're trying to get Ergosoft to more accurately match the output, right? So if you're trying to match your other RIP, you print it on your other RIP. if you're trying to match to another printer, you print it on your other printer. So you would just take this and import it and print it, right? Just like normal, just as if it was a normal job. Okay, so let's close that, get that out of the way. So once it's printed, I have this little sample here that I did before. This chart name is TMAM. So I'm going to select that chart right here. And then you click measure swatchbook. So whatever chart you created, that's what you would select, right? Then you click measure. So when we go in here to measure, you click measure, you hook up your spectro, and you measure your chart just like you do like a linearization chart. You want to measure it a minimum of 2 times. We strongly recommend a minimum of twice. What that does is it helps prevent errors. For instance, I have these measured already. I will show you. Let me import this. So I have this measured for you. So as you can see, I have 4 measurements, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it gives you a delta E. But the reason, if you only do it once, you don't really know if that's actually accurate. If you measure it again and you basically get the same values, you know that both of them were pretty accurate, right? Does that make sense? How
Yeah, so it's
yeah.
not giving you a delta E against the lab color in the reference library. It's actually giving you a delta E between your measurements.
Exactly.
Okay.
So as you can see here, we'll talk about that too, because what we have this highlight deviations down here. What this will do is anything with a delta E of 1 or more, it will highlight. As you can see, there's none highlighted. So this is a delta E of 0.25. So you have to do 0.25. And now you can see this one, and this one are all above 0.25, 0.25 or higher, right? So normally people use like a delta E of 1, or sometimes they'll use 0.5. You do have to type a 0 first, by the way, 0 point whatever if you want to do a decimal. So there you go. So nothing is even above a delta E of 0.5. The reason that's helpful, again, is just to find if there was any errors. You know, if you're scanning and there's even, if you're doing fabric, even a little, like a little fuzzy that was stuck on the fabric might have made one measurement inaccurate. So if you had a measurement that was inaccurate, you could delete that measurement, right, and get rid of it. That's why we strongly recommend doing at least 2. I do 3 or 4 usually.
Okay, so a couple things real quick. So anybody that's familiar with the way that the Ergosoft charts look like, this is interesting because we're talking about a swatchbook library, but we're doing a scanning measurement process. So you're able to save a lot of time just by swiping through the rows of colors and loading your measurements, which is very nice to obviously do scanning with a big color library. And the other thing it looks like is measuring multiple times. It's now averaging out our lab values. Yes. So when we
Yes. Once I
print
hit
out,
OK, it's yeah.
Okay, that's
So
very nice.
sorry, yes. So once you're measured and you're all good to go, and everything is accurate, and you don't have a huge delta E's and everything, if you hit OK, what it does is it takes all of these these labs. You can see the lab here. So we have 51.5, 0.5, 0.4, 0.4. So it's probably going to be like 51.45, most likely. So it averages all the values into your actual value. So once I hit OK, it will take all that data and it will create a new swatchbook, and it puts it in your swatchbook library. So if you go in here, you see here now, I said the chart name was TMAM. So right here, swatch measurement chart TMAM. And then we have this. This is our new chart. And this is completely new. It uses the same names, but it's not changing the original. So we have our original library here. So we're not taking your original values and permanently changing them, you know. All we're doing is making a new one that started with a reference from your original chart, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So there's nothing going on there where it's not going to mess with any of your originals. So from here, we need to take this and export it as a whole library so we can import it into our named colors. And then we can use that for our automatic replacement for artwork, which we'll talk about in just a moment. So I'm going to export this. I'm going to put this in the demo data folder, and I'm just going to put it as a swatchbook, and I'm going to call it I'm gonna call it to ma'am just to match the chart name. There. So we imported our original swatch book, which had the original colors. We measured it. We measured the output. We created a new chart, and then we exported that chart as a swatch book. From there, we're going to go into our named colors, and we're going to import that swatch book. So we're going to go to import, navigate to it. We have it right here, to ma'am swatch book, and there we go. So now this is the original colors with the original name. However, the lab values have been adjusted to be more in line with the output of what you were getting before. So what it did is it just took the output that you had, right, with all of the adjustments. Maybe certain channels were adjusted higher on the other RIP, right? Or maybe the ICC profile was totally different. Whatever factors were being used to create your different output from before, that's what we're replicating here with this new lab value, right? And then from there, it takes your ICC profile on this print environment and it creates the CMYK. So now you can take all of your artwork from the customer that has these names in the artwork, and that'll be replaced just like a normal named color.
Okay, so nothing changes with the artwork.
Mhm.
Nothing changes with the reference library. And everything pretty much stays the same, except now we have CMYK recipes that are much more accurate to the output from the older system.
Correct.
Excellent. Okay, well, thanks for watching, everybody. It's been very enjoyable showing this tool for all of us, and please contact us if you have any questions.